Hello there, my name is Hideout and welcome to the Pantheon, where we've entered the 5th spoiler season of this week, it seems like, and we're going into Infinity, I believe it is, and we've got Magar of the Magic Strings. Look at him, sort of manipulating stuff. It's a 3-mana 3/3 Minotaur performer. Pay 3, and this is a long ability. Note the name of target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard and put it onto the battlefield face down. It's a 3/3 creature with, whenever this creature deals combat damage to player, you may create a a copy of the card with the noted name. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. And if this creature would leave the battlefield, exile instead of putting it anywhere else. A lot of text. Basically, this is giving used instants and sorceries manifest, I guess, is the best way of thinking about it. Using those cards to represent a 3/3. This is a 3/3. It's a Minotaur, and you get to cast them for free. So it's really quite cool. I like the sort of combat aspect of this. It's forcing you into combat to get that cool ability. I actually think this card's really quite nice. I'd consider building this as a commander. So a good card to see. And this is, if you note down at the very bottom, the sort of wizard sticker, the oval one, that means that it is legal in Commander. The ones that have an acorn there mean that they're not. So we're going to have a look at this guy and see what we can do with him. And if you want to see me do other things with other cards, subscribe to my channel and you'll see some things you'll not soon forget, I can guarantee you that. Anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at number 5 for the Minotaur performer. And it's Grave Upheaval and cycling. Oh my god. So it doesn't matter how the cards got into our graveyards, but we need cards in our graveyard. And cycling is one of the best ways to get cards into our graveyard. Grave Upheaval, 6 mana for a sorcery. Put target creature card from a graveyard, not just ours, onto the battlefield under our control. It gains haste and basic land cycling for 2. So early in the game, we can cycle this away, get basic land to our hand, so we can play the land, then play our commander, something like that. But all late game, just cast it. But having this in our graveyard from the cycling allows us to use our commander's ability and turn this into a 3/3. So whenever we deal combat damage, we're going to be reanimating a big creature. Really awesome. Then, similarly, in the cycling scale of things, we've got Razaketh's Right. 5 mana for a sorcery, cycling for 1. Ooh, like to see that. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Absolutely fantastic. Every time we're going to deal combat damage with our Minotaur made thing, our puppet, I guess, we're going to be searching our library, doing a demonic tutor. That's incredible. Great value. Definitely consider it. Then Violet Impact. This is a card I would never usually recommend playing, but I think it works quite coolly in this deck. 4 mana for a sorcery, destroy target artifacts or land, and then cycling for 2. So cycling is an incredible mechanic. It helps filter out the deck. And, you know, destroying an artifact, always powerful, but destroying a land, don't count it out, because it's going to make everyone miserable, and that is the main reason we play Commander, isn't it? So and then we've got Raking Claws. 2 mana for an instant. Okay, 2 mana, we're not getting much of a reduction for casting this for free, but Double Strike, which is what this card gives, is very good with the tokens our commander makes, because it's whenever they deal combat damage. So if we're dealing double combat damage, we're getting 2 casts of what a spell it is. And it has cycling, so it's obviously one of the best cards ever printed. And that brings me on to just some big cards that we might want to put into the graveyard that we can use with our commander's ability. In Garruk's Wake, 9 mana for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. So we keep all of our tokens, and guess what? Our opponents, they lose everything. Hey, that's good. And we're casting it for free if it's exiled under one of our little creatures. Awesome. Then there's Void, a card I would usually avoid. 5 mana for a sorcery. Choose a number. Destroy all artifacts and creatures with a converted mana cost equal to that number. Then target player reveals his or her hand and discards all non-land cards with converted mana cost equal to the number. So I'd avoid this card because it's generally just a bit too narrow, but if we get this under one of our creatures and we're constantly attacking in, getting double strike damage and choosing multiple different numbers, we can really control the board state. I think it's a cool card for this deck. And then my favourite thing in Magic is to take other people's turns. I recently took one of Bax's turns. Oh, it felt incredible. 8 mana for a sorcery. You control target player during that player's next turn. Exile worst fears. Hooray! There we go. Fantastic. An extra turn is always good, even if it goes to exile. So a fantastic card to see here. So there you go. Some cards that we can reuse and stuff like that. Oh, hang on. Let me just... I've just had a realization. Hold on. Oh, thank God. Right, okay. It does create a copy of the noted card, so we can get multiple uses off of it. So, okay, the double strike and stuff works. All right, okay. We're gonna carry on, panic averted. So all of these work really well, and we can do them over and over again. Worst Fears is phenomenal. Constantly taking people's turns is hilarious. I love it. Which takes me on to number 4. And at number 4, we've got Burning Inquiry. And this is all ways to fill up our graveyard with those big spells, potentially. Obviously, cycling fills itself up, but these cards to get things into the graveyard. 1 red for a sorcery. Each player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards at random. Now, it is random, so we might not discard the ones we want, but remember, you're disrupting 3 other players. They have, you know, their game plan set up. Maybe they're playing combo decks. We can force them to discard their lands, their combo pieces. This is wonderful and a great, great card to see. So I'd highly recommend it. And doing it over and over again is obviously very powerful. Fiery Encore is a 5 mana sorcery. Discard a card, then draw a card. When you discard an online card this way, it deals damage equal to that card's mana value to target creature or player. Really, really good removal, because we can discard one of our 9 mana cards, deal 9 damage to a creature. Pretty much we're going to kill everything. But this also has Storm. So when you cast it, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. So it fills up the graveyard. We can do it multiple times thanks to the Storm. You know, it's a board wipe. It's really, really good. It's a great card to see. Then we got Faithless Looting, a classic. 1 red sorcery, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Flashback for 3 mana. When you cast this spell from your graveyard, for its flashback cost, then exile it. Ooh. But a constant way to filter through the deck. Putting this under one of our 3/3s is really, really nice. Just constantly dig, dig, dig. That's what you want to do. And then that takes me on to Dark Deal to finish off. 3 mana sorcery. Each player discards all cards in his hand and draws that many cards. -1. Excellent disruption. We just want to dump things into the graveyard and use our commander's ability, so we don't really care what's going in there. And it's a sorcery, so we could potentially use this over and over again with our commander's ability. Awesome. It's really good. So there you go. Ways to fill up our graveyard, and also a couple of ways to disrupt our opponent, which never underestimate that. And that takes me on to number 3. And at number 3, it's a big card that I want to cast, and our commander is a Minotaur. It's Death Bellow Warcry. 8 mana for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 4 Minotaur cards with different names, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Wonderful. You can just cast this over and over again using our commander's little 3/3 idiot man. So, oh no, we've gone the wrong way. I'm messing everything up today. So, what are some Minotaurs we want to search up? So, Sethron, Olive, Horloon General, 5 mana 4/4 Minotaur Warrior. Whenever it or another non-token Minotaur enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/3 red Minotaur creature token. Pretty good value. And we can pay 3 mana, and one of it can be a black or a red, or has to be. Minotaurs you control get +1% and gain menace and haste until end of turn. So fantastic if we're just dumping everything into the battlefield all at once, because we're going to get 4 tokens from the 4 Minotaurs entering, and then we can pay 3 mana to give them all haste and menace. Brilliant. Then Glint Horde Buccaneer works brilliantly with all the discard sort of shenanigans I've been talking about. 3 mana, 2/4 haste. Whenever you discard a card, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. That's pretty good. And you can pay 2, discard a card, draw a card. Activate this ability only if it is attacking. So nice little rummage built in there, but it works really synergistically with the rest of the deck. Very nice. And then we got Morag, Fury of Akum. 6 mana for a 6/6 Minotaur. Whoa. Each creature you control gets +1 for each time it is attacked this turn. Now, that's incredible with a couple of cards I'm going to talk about in a bit. Then there's Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. Really, really good because those creatures that we're attacking with the 3/3s, if they deal combat damage multiple times, we cast multiple spells. So this allows us to get in multiple times over and over again and also buffs up all our creatures at the same time. Really great spell. Then there's Neheb the Worthy. There are 3 Nehebs. I'm just highlighting this one because I think it fits best with this deck. 3 mana 2/2 first strike. Other Minotaurs you control have first strike. Yes! And as long as there are 1 or fewer cards in your hand, Minotaurs you control get +2/+0. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, each player discards a card. So there you go. It works in so many different directions. Absolutely incredible. But it's a really good card. Fits the theme. I love it. Then Kragma, Warcaller, is a 5 mana 2/3. Minotaur creatures you control have haste. Hey! Whenever a Minotaur you control attacks, it gets +2/+0. Hey! Really, really good. Fits the theme. You know, haste is always good in red. And then to finish off, it's not a Minotaur, it's a didgeridoo. So some similar noise to that. Please don't gif that. 1 mana for an artifact. Pay 3. You may put a Minotaur permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. There we go. Absolutely fantastic. Fits beautifully in the Minotaur tribal deck. You know, it's a nice little package I'd go for, and the Warcry works exceptionally with our commander. And that takes me on to number 2. So we've got these 3/3s, but they do need to get combat damage in. And that's where things like Access Tunnel come in. It's a land that taps for a colorless, and pay 3 and tap it. Target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. It seems like our creatures are 3/3s. This allows us to get in with whichever one we want, can't be blocked, and we're going to get that free cast of a spell. Amazingly good. So powerful. Then we got the Glaring Spotlight, because we can have multiple 3/3s on the field that, you know, each cast a different spell, and this allows us to get in with all of them. Just going to enjoy some juice. Delicious. Don't know what flavour it is. What is Fanta Fruit Twist? What's in it? I don't know. Anyway, 1 mana, artifact, creatures your opponents control with hexproof can be the target of spells and abilities you control as though they didn't have hexproof. It's really good against, you know, Geist of St. Traff, things like that. And then you can pay 3 and sacrifice it. Creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn and are unblockable this turn. That's all of your creatures. And if you've got a way to bring back an artifact, you can do it over and over again. So a very, very cool include there. 1 mana is not a big investment. Speaking of which, we've got the Hot Soup. Piping. 1 mana for an artifact equipment. Quick creature can't be blocked. Whenever a quick creature is dealt damage, destroy it. That's a pretty big downside, but, you know, it's only really going to come up if we have pingers. We want to be attacking him with the 3/3s. We're not going to be blocking. Who really cares? So, a great way of getting it over and over again. Speaking of which, Prowler's Helm, 2 mana for an equipment, equip 2. A quick creature can't be blocked except by walls. If your opponents are playing walls, they're already dead. You know, it's over for them. GG. So, we can get in, you know, past everything else and, getting those damage and get those free spells. So there you go, some nice evasion for you there, which takes me on to number 1. And at number 1, we've got Savage Beating. So I talked a bit about first Double Strike and a bit about extra combat steps, but this brings it all together. It's an instant, so we can cast it over and over again with one of our 3/3s. 5 mana for an instant. Play it only during your turn and only during combat. Well, that's good because our 3/3, if this is exiled under it, can cast it. Choose 1. Creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn, or untap all creatures you control, and after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Now, and you can entwine it for 2 additional mana, so you get both of them. Now, the extra combat step is what I want to talk about. So if we've got a 3/3, with this exiled under it, well, we make that unblockable. Attack in, then we get an extra combat phase, and then we get attack in, get an extra combat phase, attack in, get an extra combat. You can see where that's going. It's the same place every single time. But it's a really, really cool... Oh, my video's stopped. Oh, well. But it's a really, really cool card to see. Everything's falling to pieces. Another great thing is Double Strike, and Lizard Blades is a really great way of doing it. 2 mana, 1/1 Lizard Equipment with Double Strike, but you can reconfigure it for 2 mana. So attach it to a permanent and it becomes an equipment, and it gives a quick creature Double Strike. So giving our 3/3 Double Strike is obviously fantastic because we get 2 attacks triggers, deal damage triggers, sorry, and we get 2 of those spells. Excellent stuff. Then Two-Handed Axe is another brand new card. 3 mana for an equipment that reads, whenever an equipped creature attacks, double its power until end of turn. So that's okay. You know, we could possibly kill someone using that. But the Sweeping Cleave is an instant adventure that you can cast before it. And then once you cast it, it goes to exile and you can cast the main part of it. Target creature you control gets Double Strike until end of turn. There you go. Nice little instant. There you go. Whee! Ha! Got ya. Lol. And then Spectacular Showdown is a fantastic card, again from the brand new set. Which brand new set? I don't know, there's too many of them. 2 mana for a sorcery, put a Double Strike counter on target creature, then goad each creature that has a Double Strike counter on it, put on it this way. Ooh, that's really, really good. Obviously, goad, we have to attack our opponent, so if we put it on our creature, we have to attack our opponents. Who'd have thought? But we can overload it for 7 mana. So you cast this spell, its overload cost, change target to each. So you put a Double Strike card on everything and goad all other creatures. That is insane. And, you know, goad is actually really, really powerful because they can't attack us. They have to attack opponents. So it's not that bad. Put it on opponents' creatures. And obviously we get the double cast. And it's a sorcery, so we can constantly keep goading and putting counters on things. It just fits so, so well. And here are a couple of equipments which grant us Double Strike. Fire Shrieker, 3 mana, quick creature has Double Strike, very simple. And then Aggravated Assault isn't equipment. I got that wrong. It's a 3 mana enchantment with pay 5 on tap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. Pay this ability only the time you could play a sorcery. Well, this is really, really good if you've got something that can make a lot of mana. Maybe a ritual where the mana doesn't leave your pool. I think there's one with Suspend that does that, or something like that. So if your 3/3 can make 5 mana, well, you've got infinite turns. Pretty good. And to finish off, we've got Teamer Battle Rage, 2 mana instant. Type creature gains Double Strike until end of turn. Ferocious. Rare. Each creature attack. That creature also gains trample until end of turn if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Really, really nice for getting that damage in. Double Strike, very, very cool. Do you know what else is cool? You guys out there. Hey! So come and join me by subscribing. You know, we'll have a look at lots of different things together. Mainly Magic cards, not going to lie to you. Anyway. We'll see what happens. When I open the OnlyFans, we'll talk then. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.